Joey Logano was able to hold off Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Denny Hamlin late in this race to make a lot of history. There was a lot of history made today, a lot of changes, a lot of announcements. It was a big day. It was a really big day for NASCAR. It was supposed to be yesterday, but it ended up happening today. Obviously, if you did not know, NASCAR was at Bristol today, and for the first time in 51 years, they ran a race on dirt. They didn't run the normal Bristol Oval on the pavement. They threw 2,000 truckloads of dirt on the surface or something. And history. That's all I got to say. I mean, that's not all I got to say, but that's the pretty gist of it. That's the gist of it. History was made 51 years. Once again, that's such a long time. I mean, you get my point. Anyways, the race today, there were two races today. They ran the trucks race in the morning and the cup race just a few hours ago in the afternoon up till now. But man, oh man, was it a weekend. Friday, we saw cars on the track for the first time during practice, and it was pretty fun to watch practice. We don't get that much practice this year. We didn't get much last year because of COVID and costs being cut and stuff, but practice should be back next year. But it was really fun to see those cars just drive on the dirt, just to see them having fun, hearing their quotes about how much they love the track and all that. And then Saturday came. Saturday was supposed to be the heat races, the qualifying races. It was supposed to be a really fun Saturday, and then it rained. And it rained a lot, and it continued to rain, and it rained all through Sunday morning, afternoon, and they called the race early because they knew the track wasn't going to be prepared. It's not like a normal race on pavement where you can just get the air titans to dry the track off. The dirt needs preparation and stuff. It needs to be dried out. I don't know how they do the process. I'm not a dirt expert, so you're going to have to ask someone else for that, but they had to prepare the track for better conditions, I guess, so they pushed everything to Monday. This morning in the trucks race, I was not able to see it, but from what I heard, it was pretty exciting. Martin Truex Jr. dominated it. He won that, and he dominated early in this race today. Truex looked like the best dude out there, and he has like no dirt experience. He's run like 2 dirt races prior to this year, so for a dude that didn't have much dirt experience, he did pretty dang good. But to the finish of this race, I can't even. Denny Hamlin has done it again. He has choked for about the 10,000th time in his career because he claims he's run 10,000 races. Well, Denny, you have choked for the 10,000th time. That's what you've done. Denny was talking a lot of trash on the radio to Joey Logano and saying, like, I don't know if it was necessarily him, but his team was talking a lot of trash about Joey Logano, saying, "Oh, we're gonna wreck you. I've cut you too many breaks. I'm gonna move you up the track." And, you know, the track was racing like Old Bristol. Old Bristol, of course, is just the inside line is heavily favored. If you're on the outside, you're going to get past. It's kind of like Martinsville. But, you know, the bump and run, all that stuff, Gordon bumping Rusty Wallace out of the way, all that fun stuff. But anyways, we moved midway through the race because the outside was getting super dusty, super dry, and so dust was kicking up. You couldn't see, and it was kind of becoming a crash fest. So they decided to go to single-file restarts, which I disagree with. I think they should have just taken some time to prep the track, to mess around with the dirt, put some water on it, give it some moisture. I mean, they only did it during the stage breaks and competition and cautions because there was no live pit stop, so they basically threw the red flag for pit stops. You had about 5 minutes to work on your car, but, you know, they could have worked on the dirt on the outside lane during the pit stops or something, or during the caution, brought the cars down pit road or something. I don't know, but they just out of nowhere said, let's do single file restarts. First time in over 10 years that they've done it. And, you know, that last restart, Denny Hamlin got a great jump. He was on the back bumper of Joey Logano. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to bump him up the track and pass him for the lead. What does Denny Hamlin do? He goes to the top. He tries to run the top, which has not worked at all for the last 5 to 10 laps or 15 laps because it's dried out. It's not running well anymore because there's no grip up there or whatever it is. But Denny Hamlin said, hey, this hasn't worked in 20 laps. Let's try it. I have a great opportunity to move someone up the track for the win. But no, let's give him the win. Denny. Oh, the amount of Denny Hamlin jokes I could make right now. I could literally make the rest of this video about Denny Hamlin not winning a championship joke or choking joke. But we have to talk about other things. Congratulations to Joey Logano. Joey Logano drove a heck of a race, took the lead from Daniel Suarez late in Stage 2, held on to win the Bristol Dirt Race, led a lot of laps in that last stage. But, yeah, we got to talk about Daniel Suarez, man. Daniel Suarez was on fire. Daniel Suarez does not have much dirt experience. New team Trackhouse Racing, they've had some decent runs, but they've never been up front leading laps, passing guys for the lead. Suarez passed Martin Truex Jr. for the lead and led 50 to 60 laps today. He about won Stage 2, but I think he wore his tires out at the end of Stage 2. Logano passed him and won Stage 2, but Daniel Suarez drove a heck of a race. Like, he was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. Daniel Suarez was like top 3-4 car all day, I would say. Truex was the best car in the first half of the race. He led like 126 of the 130 laps at one point. Then he never led again. But he was top 5 most of the race. Suarez was top 5 most of the race. Joey Logano, he was top 5 most of the second half of the race. Hamlin was up there most of the race. But yeah, it was just a really exciting race. I loved it. I was kind of skeptical coming into this race. I'll admit, I thought it was going to be a crash fest. I thought, man, these guys aren't used to racing on dirt. I don't know how these cars will handle on dirt. I think it's going to be a crash fest. And there were times that I thought it was about to be after a couple spins and crashes, but they kept it clean for the most part. I think they stayed clean for the first 30 laps, which I was very impressed with. Not a single moment of, just running behind someone. There was always side-by-side action. There was always something to watch. Edge of your seat, guys sideways, guys driving the cars. I mean, seriously, that's something I've talked about before, is that I love seeing the drivers drive the cars versus just holding it left. Like, they were turning back right, trying to get the wheel, trying to get the most speed out of it. It was extremely fun to watch. And, I mean, you have a different variety of guys up front. You had Stenhouse, Ryan Newman, Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, Eric Jones all in the top 10. It was just an extremely fun race. And, Joey Logano ruins the fun. Obviously, I feel like every time we get, like, a super fun race, like, we get, like, a normal winner. Talladega last fall was a super fun race. Denny Hamlin won. 2019 Bristol Night Race, Denny Hamlin won over Matt DiBenedetto. Today, it was Joey Logano getting the win, but still a really fun race. I mean, a winner's not going to ruin the race for me. I still thought it was an amazing, amazing race. I think NASCAR made a good call with this. I mean, it was a big, risky call to turn this into a dirt race, and even though we had some weather issues, that's hard to predict so far out. It was an amazing race. I enjoyed every single lap of this race. I had a ton of fun watching the different guys up front, to see the different lines, to learn some more stuff about dirt racing. And mid-race, it was announced, this race will be back in 2022. That's right. The 2022 Bristol Dirt Race will happen. It's going to be the spring race again, so that basically confirms that Bristol will be in the spring again, and it will be on dirt. So that will be a really, really fun race, I think, once again. The next-gen car on dirt, but I thoroughly enjoyed this race. Everything about it, from lap 1 to 250, once again. But, yeah, let's look at your finishing results today. We have our 7th different winner in 7 races in 2021. Joey Logano wins the Bristol Dirt Race. Joey Logano, I would not consider him a dirt guy. I don't know how much dirt he has in his background, but he looked good all day. He was top 10, top 5, and he led most of Stage 3, took the lead late in Stage 2, and never looked back. He led the majority of that stage, had a good little battle with Denny Hamlin for the lead. Hamlin fell off a bit, and then that final restart, Denny. Denny Hamlin blows it. But Joey Logano locks himself into the playoffs. We have 7 winners. 16 guys make the playoffs. And there are some guys who haven't won yet this year that normally win. Defending champion Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin. I mean, who knows? Second place, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That was my pick to win this race. He was top 10, top 15 most of the day, but he saved his stuff up till the end. He drove up into the top 5. I think he restarted 3rd or 4th on that final restart. And when Denny went high, Stenhouse took 2nd. Logano ran away with the win. So good job, Denny. Not only did you cost yourself a win, you cost yourself 2nd place. Good job. 3rd place, Denny Hamlin. Denny, I don't even need to say anything about him. I'm so frustrated with him. Dude, I'm not saying you got to just completely wipe him out like Chase Elliott did last year, but at least at least try to win. Like, try to do something to win. You knew going to the top wasn't going to work. He said in his post-race interview, he's like, the top, I thought it might work. No. Denny! You frustrate me, Denny. You frustrate me a lot. Fourth place, Daniel Suarez, a career day, led 50 to 60 laps, was in the top 5 most of the day. Absolutely incredible run for him and that team. You know, Daniel Suarez, looking at his career, I mean, he won the Xfinity Championship in 2016 and was suddenly brought up to Cup after Carl Edwards just decided to retire. Ran 2 years for Joe Gibbs Racing and was booted out of that ride for Martin Truex Jr. after Furniture Row shut down. And then went to Stewart-Haas Racing, but was only there for 1 year. Booted out of that ride too, so he's never had stability at a ride. But when the new team Trackhouse Racing came with Justin Marks as an owner and then adding Pitbull as a co-owner, and they believe in Daniel Suarez, that gave him some stability and for a long-term career to potentially build something. And this is a huge step in the right direction for this team and for Daniel Suarez. I was extremely happy. From what I heard, people in the grandstands, they loved it when Daniel Suarez took the lead. They were cheering, they were clapping. Dude, I hope Suarez can get a win. That would be really cool for that team and also Suarez. Fifth place, Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman, I'm pretty sure he's got some dirt in his background. He ran up front all day. He spun early on off the front bumper of William Byron, and he rallied back for a top 5. He was 5th to 8th most of the day, I would say, and a 5th place finish. That's great for Roush Fenway Racing. That's great for him. So, yeah, good for Ryan Newman. 6th place, William Byron. He was top 10 all day, I would say, but the best finisher of the Hendrick Motorsports Group. 7th, Tyler Reddick. He came up into the front at the end of the race. Good for him. 8th place, Ryan Blaney. Oh, my gosh. What? Ryan Blaney was in a wreck earlier in like stage 2, and the back of his car was like almost destroyed. Wow, good for him. 9th place, Eric Jones, another great run for Richard Petty Motorsports. You know, they're usually a team that's a mid-pack team, but they've gotten some top 10s this year with Eric Jones. Good for them. 10th, Chase Elliott. Decent run for him. 11th, Brad Keselowski. 12th, Michael McDowell. 13th, Matt DiBenedetto. Good for McDowell and DiBenedetto, especially DiBenedetto. He needs the points. 14th, Chris Buescher. 15th, Kevin Harvick. 16th, Kurt Busch. 17th, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch took the lead on lap 2 of this race, but quickly had to come to pit road as he was overheating. Water was spewing out of his car. He had to come and get his grill cleaned off. And he rallied back into the top 10 at one point, but I don't know what happened after that. He might have gotten involved in a wreck. Finishes 17th. 18th, Ryan Preece. 19th, Martin Truex Jr. Lined up 4th or 5th on that final restart and blew a tire going into turn 1. It ruined his day. He had such a good car, led 126 laps, won stage 1, swept the truck race, 19th in the cup race. Disappointing finish for him. 20th, Chase Briscoe. 21st, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon and Alex Bowman were disappointments today. Dillon just wasn't fast. He ran 20th all day. Ends up finishing 21st. Bowman had a gearbox issue. He couldn't get into 4th gear, but still disappointing for both those guys in my opinion. 23rd, Stuart Friesen. 24th, Cole Custer. 25th, Quinn Houff. 26th, Ty Dillon. 27th, Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace ran top 10 all day long. Late contact with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He spun, and I'm going to question this one. NASCAR did not throw the caution. NASCAR threw the caution for about every spin all day. Bubba Wallace gets hit by Stenhouse. People are trying to blame Stenhouse. I don't really think it was Stenhouse's fault. I think it was just a racing incident. Bubba Wallace left him room on the bottom. Stenhouse sent it in, and he got a little bit loose, made some contact. I wouldn't consider that anything absurd, but, Bubba was top 10 all day, and he completely did a 360 around in front of some guys, and NASCAR didn't throw the caution when they had thrown that earlier for a similar incident with Newman's spin. So I don't know why NASCAR didn't throw the caution there, but they did, or they didn't. I don't know why they didn't throw the caution there when I think they should have. That's my point. But anyways, disappointing finish for that team. They were a top 10 team all day long. So, yeah, hopefully they can get it back together at Martinsville, one of Bubba's best tracks. 28th, J.J. Yeley. 29th, Kyle Larson. The favorites in this race, Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, crashed in stage 1. Larson had to start from the back after having to change his engine, drove up into the top 5 quickly after an early restart. Christopher Bell just lost the car and collected Kyle Larson, and the two favorites were done early. Larson was trying to rally back. He was 2 laps down, had a lot of damage, but still was putting up competitive speed, and he made contact with someone, and it ripped the front of his car off, and that essentially ended his day. So Larson, 29th. 30th, Josh Bilicki. 31st, Mike Marlar. 32nd, Cody Ware. 33rd, Chris Wyndham. 34th, Christopher Bell. 35th, Ross Chastain was involved in that crash with Larson and Bell. 36th, Eric Almirola. 37th, Shane Golobic. 38th, Corey LaJoie. And 39th, Anthony Alfredo were all involved in an early crash. So a historic day at the Bristol Motor Speedway today. The NASCAR went back to dirt for the first time in 51 years. And it was a thrilling race. I enjoyed it so much. It was such a fun race. Different guys up front that we don't usually see, like Suarez, Stenhouse, Ryan Newman. It was just such a fun race. And, not just that, but to see guys racing super hard, driving their cars as hard as they could. It was just a thrilling race. I thoroughly enjoyed every single lap of this. What is my rating for this race? It is a perfect 10 out of 10 race. That might be the first time I've done that on here because I used to not do ratings for races, but here we are. We've done it for about a year now, but I think this race gets a 10 out of 10. I enjoyed every single lap. There were times when it was sloppy, but they quickly got it back up. I'll admit, this has nothing to do with the racing, but I will admit, or it ended up having to do with the racing, but I did not like that they just so suddenly changed to the single file restarts. I think they should have discussed potentially treating the track at some point during the cautions instead of just, going straight to single file restarts. It was a problem. It was definitely a problem. It was too dusty. Guys couldn't see. It was causing crashes. So they needed to do something to change the racing, to change the way to get out of all of that dust so that you couldn't see. And they went to single file restarts. I really think they should have tried to treat the track, but a thrilling race. It was so fun to see all the different types of drivers, seeing, dirt professionals, the dirt ringers, in this race, but to also see some Cup regulars, some Cup veterans and champions up front that weren't expected to be up front. This race, we all expected Larson, Christopher Bell, other dirt guys to just dominate this race, but it was dominated by some guys who we don't usually see in dirt. Martin Truex Jr., Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano. Those were the 3 guys who dominated today, and Joey Logano ends up getting a historic win at Bristol, winning the Bristol Dirt Race. I can't believe I'm saying that we had a dirt race, but man, the most anticipated race of the year is now over, and we move on to more anticipation. The next race will be at Martinsville here in a couple weeks. We take Easter off, and then I'd say the most anticipated race after that will be Circuit of the Americas, the next new track on our schedule. I think that'll be a great race too, but man, what a race. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed that race. So much, seriously, so much history made today. Joey Logano, the historic win, winning in the dirt. I didn't see that one coming personally. I really did think it was going to be a dirt guy. Stenhouse up there in second. Man, if that was my one right pick this year, that would have been hilarious, but unfortunate that he could not get it done. That would have shaken up the playoff grid yet again. The playoff grid, if we get more wacky winners, there are going to be some guys that end up getting left out that are usually locks for the playoffs. So if you want to make the playoffs this year, you might just have to win because, obviously at the rate we're going to have 16 different winners, but we're bound to have a repeat winner. It's probably going to happen at Martinsville, let's be honest. But, some of these guys that haven't won yet, they got to be a little nervous if they're on the bubble. Guys like Matt DiBenedetto, Eric Almirola, guys that usually point their way in. I think they got to be a little bit nervous. So, other than that, I hope you enjoyed the race, guys. I really do. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. And I'll see you sometime later this week to make a fun video. Leave a like. That helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Woo dirt racing.